Today we have Dr. Shahida Batool with us. She's a professor at Government College University, Pakistan. But rest of her introduction, she will introduce herself. So please, Dr. Shahida, tell us about yourself.
Thank you for providing me this opportunity to introduce myself. It is always difficult to introduce one's own self, but I will try to introduce myself briefly. I am professor of psychology currently I am working at Government College University, Lahore in the capacity of professor. Previously, I worked as a chairperson of the department for 4 years. And as far as my qualification concerned, I did my PhD from the University of Punjab in applied psychology, and then I went to University of Sussex, UK, for postdoctoral fellowship. And my area of interest, which is now I claim that it is my area of interest, is qualitative research. That was fascinated when I joined Government College University, and I found so many people who are talking about qualitative research, and my PhD work was purely quantitative in nature. I felt that this major area of my research expertise is still it needs further training. So I decided to go for postdoctoral fellowship with the project, which was mixed method in nature. So I got training, particularly in IPA from the University of Sussex from Dr. Richard D. Visser. He got training from Jonathan Smith, who is the founder of IPA. So while taking courses or while taking classes over there or while getting training in IPA, I also got trained in qualitative research method in general while staying at UK. Then I came back and rejoined Government College University, and then I started working on qualitative research projects, and I started supervising theses in qualitative research projects, and students definitely they were fascinated by qualitative research method because that was new at that time. But now I claim that it is very popular in Pakistan. So so far I have more than 80 publications in my credit in national and international journals, both in qualitative and quantitative in nature. And recently I have received the Lifetime Achievement Award that was given by Pakistan Higher Education Commission in the field of research, that is Best Researcher Award. And I am happy to share with you that in 2014, I also received the Best Research Paper Award as well. And that was based on my postdoctoral research project. So I have so far supervised more than 130 students, postdoctorate, PhD, MPhil, MS, and BS students. And I have contributed a lot in the field of research in various
Very
capacities.
interesting that how you shifted from quantitative to qualitative research, and particularly you approached to IPA, that we call interpretive phenomenological analysis. And it means that you are already in the depth of qualitative research. And then you have also supervised several students in their research, and many of them would be in qualitative research. Dr. Shahida, my question is about your experience with the students to whom you have supervised qualitative research. I just want to know, and of course my viewers would like to know, that what sort of problems and very common problems in the research methodology that novice qualitative researcher face and that you have experienced in your career of supervising qualitative research.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity, because supervisor always wants to share his or her problems of supervision with students. Qualitative research is getting popular in Pakistan as well as it is getting popular all around the globe. But qualitative research is not a smooth sailing. You better know, because you yourself, you are a qualitative researcher. it's a kind of bumpy road where students they start their research with the enthusiasm, and they are highly motivated when they start qualitative research. But in the middle of research, they start rethinking about changing their research project from qualitative to quantitative, because most of the students they don't find doing qualitative research easier enough to continue with. Because when you start qualitative research, you need, no doubt, you need rigorous training in it. But we teach mostly one course of qualitative research to students, which comprises one semester. And I believe that one semester is not a sufficient time to train researchers to carry out independent research, qualitative research especially. So when they start doing qualitative research, they face a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, and being the supervisor of students of various degree programs, as I have already shared with you, that I supervise PhD, MPhil, MS, BS, and I have also supervised postdoctoral fellow as well. Majority of students, they come up with similar experiences of doing qualitative research. So they have similar set of experience and problems of doing qualitative research. When we talk about qualitative research and its challenges, and challenges of students especially, challenges, they face challenges throughout the research process. I will discuss that problems and my, as a supervisor, my experience of sharing their problems or resolving their problems from the inception of the research till the completion of the research. When they start their research, the first thing which is very challenging for me as a supervisor is that they come with very vague idea of doing qualitative research. They come with very broad area of their interest. So being a supervisor, my first question is that this is very broad area. Where do you want to work actually? Can you specify the areas, sub areas of this major area or this broader areas? At that time, students are incapacitated and they don't have, most of the time, they don't have answer to this question. So that is the point where rigorous exercise starts. And me as supervisor, I have to give a lot of time to students to specify their area of interest, because in qualitative research we believe that we will do a kind of research which is in depth in nature. So if I start supervising a project which is very broad, and at the end we will come to know that this was very broader area and we did not do justice with this area. So that is the point where I have, as a supervisor, I have to supervise them. I have to give them quality time, and there are frequent exercises with the students. So there comes a point where we decide that yes, this dimension of this particular phenomena is viable, this is feasible, and it is significant enough to carry out research in this particular area. Then comes the point where students have to develop their research question. Again, they develop research question which is either it is very focused and or it is very generalized, because when we emphasize on the descriptive nature of research question, they think that it should be very general in nature. And if we emphasize that no, we should be focused, at least our area of interest should be focused, then they come with the very narrow research question. So this is the second step where I, as a supervisor, I feel that they need my expertise, and they need my supervision at this point as well. Then comes the selection of a sample. You know, in qualitative research, sample is very small, but we have to interview those participants, either one-on-one interview or focus group. So they have to appear and they have to show their identity while they are sharing their experiences. So in Pakistan, Participants, most of the time, they are not independent in their decision making to take part in the study. As I am a qualitative researcher, and at the same time I am health psychologist as well. So most of the projects or most of the theses that I supervise are in the field of health psychology. And health psychology is a field where most of the research is carried out on patients of chronic illnesses or patients of various diseases, which people really they don't want to reveal the secret of their illness, or and this is because of so many reasons, because of certain taboos, or sometimes it is because of fear of disclosure, or sometimes it is because of fear of isolation, or sometimes it is because of fear of social discrimination. So people, they don't want to reveal their identity as a patient. So it is very challenging most of the time. And many of my research projects, my independent research projects and the projects that I supervise, they are on women and men who are suffering from infertility issues in Pakistan. So infertility is a kind of problem that people usually want to conceal, and they don't want to reveal to people that they are suffering from, especially male. If they are suffering from this problem, they don't want to reveal that they are suffering from. So sometimes women, they want to share their experiences and they want to take part in research, but their husbands don't allow them to take part in the study. Sometimes they have restrictions from the in-laws and they don't allow them to take part in the study. And sometimes patients or participants, they don't trust because they need assurance of confidentiality. So this is very difficult to approach the sample, take their consent to take part in the study, and to continue with the interviews. And sometimes there are emotional outbursts which students sometimes they are unable to deal with, so they feel incapacitated, no doubt. Well, when we approve their topic, we make sure that they are able to give sort of counseling to the patients or to the people who are sharing their painful or their shameful experiences with them. But sometimes it happens, they claim that they can manage this situation, but sometimes they cannot manage this situation. So we have to make certain arrangements in this condition. So this is how a sample and approaching sample is challenging for students in Pakistan. And then comes the stage where we start interview, and we try to provide certain training to the students with classroom exercises, to conduct focus group discussion, and to conduct face-to-face semi-structured interviews. But still, the students are not, I think they don't have that opportunity of rigorous training that they need to carry out, or to conduct interview with the people who are already suffering from various problems or issues and challenging. So rapport building, students share with me that initially they find it difficult to develop rapport with the participants, because sensitivity of the issues that they are supposed to share, that does not allow them to open up. Most of the time students come, and they are most of the time they are very hopeless that madam, I have conducted one interview, but my participant, she or he did not answer me well, and most of the answers were in the form of yes and no. I tried to make him or her open up and share experiences, but most of the time she said, yes, I do it, no, I cannot do it, and this and that. So that is the point where we have to rethink whether we have to continue with this topic or this research, or we have to change the topic. So at that point, first of all, I usually look at the interview, and I listen to that interview, and I find the problems that students face and the mistakes that students usually commit while doing interview, because there are certain points where students have to give prompts to the participant, and he has to change the topic, or he has to change the or modify the question, and sometimes she or he has to ask the question which was supposed to be asked at the end, but at that point he or she should decide that this question should be asked now. So these are the problems that I have to look at when students face problem while continuing with the good quality topic. Technical hitches, most of the participants, they are very reluctant to get their interviews recorded because they think that it will be a sort of threat to their identity, and people will come to know. And this we have to handle technically. Everywhere in the world, the participants, they are hesitant to get their interviews recorded. But in Pakistan, there are so many problems, so many taboos in Pakistan, which stop participants to share their identity or share their problems. So most of the students, they complain that they don't have proper place to conduct interview, because if they are in the hospital setting, if they are in the institutional setting, they don't find a place where they can conduct a good quality interview, because there is most of the time noise around, and there is interference during the interview, and they don't find it is comfortable for the participant and for the interviewer as well to conduct a good quality interview. So these are the problems that students usually face while they interview their participants. Then comes the appropriate selection of research uh, data analysis technique. As you know that we tell students that the best quality of qualitative research is that it is flexible. So it does not bound the researcher. So its flexibility sometimes becomes its demerit or its problem. Its quality becomes its demerit. So students think that if it is flexible and there is nothing right and wrong in qualitative research, so they can go with any of the research data analysis technique, which they think that is easier for them to handle. So at that point, we have to provide them supervision, and we have to make them understand that this is the right, this is the most appropriate, and this is the least appropriate, and this is not the appropriate data analysis technique. So once students they decide to use one particular data analysis technique, again they face a lot of problems, because most of the time they don't know which is the most representative data which is representing the problem, because most of the research data analysis techniques, they expect from the parties, from the researcher, to validate their claims or validate their coding and their themes with the available data. So they don't know which data represent the claim well. So they become very confused at that stage, and they are sometimes they are unable to validate their claim with the appropriate set of data. So here I have to work with them, and we select appropriate quotations which represent the data, which validate their claim as well. Subjectivity and objectivity issue, that is again, I think this issue should be addressed throughout the research process, but when we are analyzing the data, this problem become manifold, because researchers, novice researchers, students, if they are analyzing the data, that it is very difficult for them to maintain their positionality, which we use and which we address during qualitative research. Sometimes, in order to become objective in the research process, sometimes hide their positionality, and sometimes they become reluctant to reveal their actual position. So we have to train students in this regard as well, because unless we take some certain position while we are doing qualitative research and we reveal our positionality, and we reveal the hurdles that create that were the hurdles created because of that positionality, we cannot produce good quality researcher. Because if we think that we are from the in group, and we are from the same group of people whom we are interviewing, this is very difficult to refrain from judgmental approach. So if we hide our positionality, or if we hide our identity as a researcher, it will again create problem for us as a researcher, and it will create biasness in the research. So this is the area where I think we should train students to maintain their positionality, and they should not hide their positionality, and they can, if they are well versed in this area, and if they accept that they are from the same group of people whom they are studying, or they are from the opposite group of people whom they are studying, they will be more objective, and they will be bold enough that they can acknowledge, or they can accept the problems or hurdles which they had to face during the research program, because of the reason that they were from the same group or similar group of individuals whom they was interviewing. Balancing analysis with the quotes, that is another problem that usually students they share with me, and or sometime I can see in their thesis, because sometimes they give so many quotations, and 2, 3, 4 pages they are filled with the quotations, and I can see very few lines of analysis. So this is very difficult to maintain the balance between quotations and between the claim, or between the themes or the quotes that we are usually we expect from qualitative researcher to analyze or to validate his or her claim with quotation. So this is the area where we should train students so that they can maintain balance between the claim and the analysis and the quotations. The major problem that I experienced while supervising qualitative research is in Pakistan. This is the limited vocabulary of the students, and their command in English language, because you know that a good quality paper, if you want to publish and if you want to publish your research, English is a major language. Most of the journals they don't allow any other language, and we cannot even publish in Pakistan. We cannot publish in Urdu. So students become helpless, and they become incapacitated. Sometimes they are very good researcher, but when they reach at the stage of write up, they become incapacitated, because they don't have sufficient vocabulary that needs to be used while sharing, or while analyzing the experiences of the participants. They don't have command over English language. So you know, if we want to become a qualitative researcher, we need to have qualitative data analysis abilities, ability of analyzing the data, as well as we should have writerly skills. And if a person cannot analyze the data in a true sense, and does not have writerly skills, that cannot be claimed to be a good researcher, qualitative researcher, because we cannot separate researcher from the writer of the research project. So a good researcher, from the beginning till the end of research, if we carry out each and every step of the research by our own self, it helps us out to become familiar with the data. So we cannot say or claim that yes, I can conduct interview and the other person will analyze the data, and there is a third party which will write up this whole research project. If we do this, I think we don't make justice with the research project. So a good quality research come from a researcher who is competent not only in designing the research, in analyzing the research, but also in writing the research or presenting the research to the public. So these are the problems that I, as researcher, I as supervisor, I feel that students they face while they start their research project and they complete the research project.
Very interesting and very detailed. Well, I mean, I can understand being a qualitative researcher and also supervisor of qualitative research. I can understand and I can agree with you that there are similar problems that I have also faced. Just to make it kind of conclusion, I will just enlist what problems you have just talked about. For example, you talked about the very broad research areas that students come up and they have to control it to narrow it down to some certain direction. Then they come up with a very narrow research question that does not go for a broader implications. So then they need to change the research question, or sometimes I have noticed the student come up with the research questions that are actually interview questions and they are not
Exactly,
research
exactly.
questions.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then we have a sampling problems. Yes, the ethical considerations are very serious, particularly in the Pakistani context. We are a traditional society, and there are a lot of things we have to consider before going into or before reaching to the participants. And then we talked about you talked about the sampling characteristics, how they choose which participant should be the worth to include in the sample. And then they have a problem with doing interviews. And yes, I agree with that. Sometimes students say, oh, what we can do, our participant was not speaking at all.
Yeah.
So they did not realize it, that it is their job to let them, to make them speak and talk about something. So this is a kind of social interaction problem students face it. And then the data analysis problem, yes, I cannot agree more. The students sometimes think that flexibility in qualitative research means they can do everything, whatever they
Yes.
want to. So they
There are no boundaries in research.
yeah, so they forgot the protocols, they forgot the steps of analysis and everything, and they just do whatever they want to do. And this is not like that. This is a really big misconception among students that flexibility means this. And then you talked about yes, writing skills. Yes, I agree with that. Sometimes students are smart enough, they are good enough, they can tell you several things about their research in Urdu language, but they cannot put it into words in English. So they need a real support for academic writing and especially the research vocabulary that they need to do. And finally, the training. Training is a missing component in our educational system. Well, all the students have to study a course named as qualitative research, and not all the students are going to do qualitative research in future. So sometimes, yes, we can give a general overview to all of the students about qualitative research, but then we have to do a kind of exclusive training for the students who really want to pursue qualitative research in future. Most of the students, when they reach the thesis, even from sociology or psychology departments, they usually have an exposure of more quantitative researches in their literature as compared to qualitative researches. So most of the time they go through or read quantitative researches. So do you think that this also causes a barrier in their understanding of qualitative research when they just reach to the qualitative research?
Yes, yes, you are right. Because we always advise students to review literature and go through the articles, and the reading article is another kind of training. One training that we provide to students in the classroom, and the other training comes from reading articles. They don't find articles of this particular field or articles from this particular area on which they are going to work on. And the other dilemma or the problem that they face, if I talk about my own country, Pakistan, here we don't have trained qualitative researcher. There are very few trained qualitative researcher, and every supervisor believes that it is his or her duty to supervise either quantitative or qualitative. They don't even think that they don't know how to carry out qualitative research, and they leave it to the students. If you have taken classes of Dr. Shahida or someone else, so you should be able to carry out research, and so I will supervise, but I don't know anything about qualitative research. So this is not fair. If you think that you are quantitative researcher only, you should be proud of that, because if we have rigorous training in any of research, being qualitative researcher, I'm also the proponent of quantitative research as well. I never try to degrade the quantitative research projects which are being carried out in our department. So it is not the problem in one department or in one university. I think this is the problem which prevails everywhere in Pakistan. Every supervisor is supervising qualitative research papers or research projects, and these papers, unfortunately, these papers get published even in international journals, which are paid journals, and they don't think about the quality of paper, and they don't even know about qualitative research, and they get their paper published. And I always advise my students, for God's sake, don't consult local papers for qualitative research at least, because qualitative research, I observe that people take benefit or advantage of flexibility of qualitative research. Even teachers, supervisors, so they don't bother which one is an appropriate data analysis technique and how students they are applying that data analysis technique. They claim that they are using grounded theory, but actually they are applying IPA. They claim that they are using IPA, but actually they are applying just phenomenological analysis. So these are the reasons that I advise my students not to consult local literature. But you are right that they don't find good quality qualitative research papers, especially in the local setup. So this is the reason that one area of the training which comes from reading good quality article, that remain unsatisfactory.
Yeah, and that is interesting. At least we are now going to speak about it and speak about it loud that we need qualitative researchers, so we need some
Yes,
investment.
I think we should prepare master trainers at faculty levels. There should be training workshops for faculty for qualitative research, so that they can receive good quality training in qualitative research, so that they can better supervise their students, and we can manage this problem which is creating confusion among students regarding qualitative research.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Shahida. It is very interesting to know about the student's problem, and especially from the person who is expert in it. And of course, I am sure that not only the students, but even the novice supervisors who are going to supervise the qualitative research, they will think about these dimensions. And yes, when I will upload this video, I will also enlist these points that you have raised, so that student can get an idea from it. Thank you very much. And
Yeah,
hopefully we will
welcome.
see you another time with another topic in qualitative research, because now it is our passion to promote qualitative research in Pakistan.
Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to share uh, my own concerns regarding qualitative research. So I am happy to talk about qualitative research. I never claimed to be an expert in the field. I am learner. I am learning a lot by reading articles, by listening to the experts in the field, and sometimes I learn from students' work. All students, they are not at the same level. Sometimes they are very, very enthusiastic and highly motivated students, and they bring very high quality qualitative research, and that always makes me happy that at least one in hundreds, if uh, one student brings good quality research, I think this is a great achievement for the teacher.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shahida. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.